This is the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast with your host, Kevin Murray.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast. Back on the show, one of my favorite guys to run into at the Fantasy Football Expo. One of my favorites in the industry. It's the tight end whisperer himself. It's Andrew Cooper from Fantasy Alarm. Welcome to the show, my man.
Dude, thanks for having me. And I got to say, man, I always send all these shows and whatever ones I do to my aunt, right? She loves the content. She loves checking it out. And I remember I sent you that message after I did your show. She was like, that Dr. Kevin Murray, he's one of the best. So, you passed the ultimate test, the Auntie Coopy test, man. So I'm happy to be back and happy to be on with it, whatever with you, man. It's always good.
I love it, man. Well, let's we're obviously going to talk some fantasy football. Talk a little bit week 11. I mean, we were just talking about how fast the season is going. It's pretty incredible. What are your biggest takeaways from this past weekend?
Yeah, man, it is flying by, dude. More than ever. Yeah, I mean, right now, just so many injuries. The bye week's hitting at the wrong time. This is one of the most difficult weeks we're going into, I think, to stream certain positions like quarterback. Even in single QB, like I know it's a nightmare in Superflex, but even single QBs, I'm looking around with some Justin Herbert bye weeks and things like that, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I literally do not know who I'm going to start right now. Whoever comes through that waiver wire, so it's dicey out there all of a sudden, and we like it best that way as analysts. People, we love to complain about how back in 2001, it was all bell cow backs and no split backfields, and we knew who all the stars were, but the game was easier then, and there was less room for us as analysts to come in and dissect the game and provide actionable info. So it is harder now. That's a good thing if you ask me. Gives us an advantage.
Yeah, bring on the chaos. I love it. Yeah, you mentioned like just this week ahead, and I can't imagine with like guillotine or any chop type leagues. Like if you're in a bad position, this is a rough week for that for sure. It's the first thing that comes to mind when you mention a rough bye week and a bunch of injuries. Like you can be in a difficult position. Oh
yeah, I mean I've got a guillotine. I was just giving my buddy guillotine advice, and one of the team that got chopped, all his players are hurt. I mean, I'm like, he's wondering who to bid on. I'm like, don't even. I'm like, this guy. I don't even know how this guy lived this long with all these guys, man. Way it's going. He just lost Jacobs. A couple other guys, so it's like, let him go. Crazy.
It is crazy. Now, you are obviously well known for your appreciation for the tight end position. Let's talk a little bit about that. Where does that come from? Where does your passion for the tight end come from?
It's kind of funny that when I first started out here, Howard Bender was the tight end whisperer to me, and a lot of people around the industry. And I actually had been working on a project behind the scenes. I was pulling all these different stats and kind of figuring out what correlates with success. And I sent the spreadsheet to Howard, and he said to me, you're doing the tight ends now. And I was like, what? I was like, well, what are you going to do? And he's like, well, what position were you set to do? And I was like, running backs, I think. He's like, all right, I'll do the running backs. He goes, you got this information? He's like, this is all new stuff, things we hadn't been looking at, like, little things that now everybody looks at, like the pass blocking rate of some of these guys and really taking into account how much 40 time matters and things like that. And we ran with it. And luckily, those first few years, we were hitting on guys like Mark Andrews and Darren Waller. And from there, we've just been sticking with it, and people have been relying on us. So got to keep it going. I do a little more than just tight end, but so believe it or not, my leagues aren't just tight ends. But
of course,
that's something that I always make sure to not only share, but share at least a little bit for free. I always share my yin and yang tight end rankings on Reddit for free and on Twitter. And I also share one set of my half PPR weekly rankings every week too. If you want my full rankings for every position, those are behind the Fantasy Alarm paywall. But I always make sure to take care of people at tight end because I promised I would.
Well, there's no doubt you do it all, and you do it all really well. But with that tight end position, you got to love a season like this, right? All these young guys coming up. When it comes to 2025, like who are your top 5 tight ends? Like who are the guys that are setting the tone for the tight end position?
It's so funny because with all the breakouts and stuff, it still has circled back to some of the old heads at the end here. You know what I mean? Like it still is like if you're going top 5, you can't leave out Trey McBride. You can't leave out Brock Bowers just because of the upside. You can't leave out George Kittle. And right now, as crazy as it sounds, you can't leave out Travis Kelce. I mean, I dropped him in my rankings when Rashee Rice came back, and he's kind of proven week in and week out here that he belongs up there, right? So for me, that's the crew up top, and then there is one young comer up there. I would put Tyler Warren in there right now. Game before the bye week came out, had a big 8-catch game. Those are the guys that are up there right now for me for 2025. So it's funny, if you asked me 4 or 5 weeks ago, would have been a different list, but here we are.
Here we are, and you bring up Travis Kelce. It is good to know that like down the stretch, he always is more and more involved. So
Reliable,
he's kind of been decent this year. Obviously, coming off a big weekend, had a few good weeks, overall. But down the stretch, I told a buddy of mine recently, I mean, you gotta, your team is set up right now for victory. You need to go get a tight end. So he just dialed up Travis Kelce in the Dynasty League for like a second, and he's like, right, I'm all in.
You got to push it. And the thing is, the good news is that like sometimes the Chiefs kind of coast in because, they're like last year, what was it? They were like, 15-2. They didn't have to play the last week of the year. No coasting this week. A lot of the prognosticators are saying they got like a 50% chance of making the playoffs. So it's pedal to the metal moving forward. You're going to see Kelce playing hard because you better believe those dudes aren't going down without a fight over there.
Yeah, they're gonna need him. So looking forward in the dynasty realm, can you name your top 10 favorite tight ends?
I mean, so that's where these young guys come in a little bit. Again, for me, my dynasty philosophy for tight end in kind of every position, I call it SORT. SORT. You want to start opportunity, but roster talent. And guys like Trey McBride are a perfect example of like, okay, this guy won the John Mackey Award. He was picked in the second round. We want to get him on the roster. And he didn't play for a full year and 7 games until Zach Ertz got hurt. But that's where the talent came in, right? So in Dynasty, if you have the combination of talent and youth and opportunity, you're always going to be ranked at the top because you got everything, right? The scheme, the talent, the opportunity, the McBrides, the Warrens, all those guys are there. But I will say that if you're competing to win now, you can't skip on guys like Kelce. You can't skip on guys like Kittle because even though the window's closing, it's wide open right now and they're getting it done. And then after that, I mean, you really got to look at the younger guys that might not have an opportunity right now. You got to stash Tucker Kraft. I know he's hurt, but you got to be looking at these guys like Colston Loveland where, look, he's a top 10 pick. He's flashed when he's got the opportunity, when he has got the opportunity. He doesn't have it yet, but the opportunity will be there. Like he will be an every down player in this league. And I'm looking, down the road at guys like, Elijah Arroyo and Terrence Ferguson. I think those guys deserve a shot at some point too. You can't rank them top 10, but right now it's a great time for tight ends in this league because so many teams are figuring out you can start them in the slot and they're just as good at catching as some of these slot guys, but they're much better blocking. That's why we've seen the transformation in these years and the rookies getting more work because teams are figuring out that, yeah, you can start a tight end at the slot. And, teams like the Chiefs and Ravens have known that for years.
Are you peeking forward into the 2026 class yet? Is there anybody out there that you're excited to see enter the NFL?
I'm pretty strict with my my philosophy on that I focus on the NFL. My schedule's week to week right now. The moment we get guys declaring, I go in and I dig, full steam ahead into that. But too many times in the past, and I know there are a lot of people that do great work that there are really plugged into it. They're doing the campus to Canton leagues and all that stuff, the Devy leagues and stuff. So I always check in with those guys. But for me, I got to focus on the NFL right now, and then I get into that stuff full steam ahead. So it would be a disservice for me to go in and spend time doing that when it's not my bag. Not to mention, in the past I've done that a ton, and then it turns out that the landscape can change so much before the draft comes. Guys decided to stay in school. Then spent a lot of time researching guys like Jake Butt back in the day, and then turns out he gets hurt, changes everything, and it's like I allocated a lot of resources to something that didn't end up mattering. So for me, I will dive in there absolutely, and I'll let you know as soon as I got that list, brother.
I love it. Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, time is precious. You gotta use that accordingly, right? Now you are also obviously a big community guy. What has this fantasy community meant to you over the years?
I mean, dude, it really has been everything for me because I'm not somebody that went to school for broadcasting. I'm not somebody that like kind of knew people or whatever coming in. I went out and started posting and commenting on Reddit. That's where I came from, where it's like you're just a username over there. People don't even know who you are. People to this day don't know where I am over there. It's just Coop, there it is. They know that. And I worked my way up doing that and had the support of a lot of people that followed me to Twitter and followed me around and supported my stuff. And that's how I was able to get a job in this industry. So like, that's why, like I said, with communities like Reddit, I'm always willing to give back and share as much as I can for free. We have to make a living. So we're going to have special stuff for our members and rankings and all those things. But I always try to share as much and comment and answer as many questions. Every week I'm in there answering questions, just because you can't do this without the main principle of this is to help people win their leagues. And the moment you get away from that and you stop doing that, like, you're not actually giving back to the community that is the only reason you have a platform. So yeah, the community means everything to me here in fantasy football. No question about it.
Well, and you're a huge vocal advocate for that Reddit community. A lot of people, miss, I guess they don't appreciate it as much as you do, because again, of where you came from with it. What is your message to people out there that, in the fantasy community that are creating content and doing stuff that aren't really focusing on what Reddit can be for them?
Yeah, I think Reddit's great, and I love it. It's just a matter of, for me, I don't like to discourage, like, platform shame anybody. Some people are like, oh yeah, Twitter stinks, or they're like, everyone's mean on Reddit or whatever, or they're like TikTok's for babies. Like that, I don't like that at all. It's like, find the way you like absorbing content, right? Like, if you like podcasts, if you like YouTube, right? And engage with that community. If you like Fantasy Football Unlimited show, engage with the comments, engage with the platform, buy Murray's book, right? It's like, support the people that are creating the content that you like and get involved and find the other people that like it and become a community, and like, do that wherever you can do that. You should, because, there's a lot of people out there. And again, there's a lot of people that just like watching or lurking, and that's fine too. But I've found the more I get involved, the more fun I have. And just by getting involved with Reddit and talking to people and making jokes and having fun and helping people win, now this is my job. You know what I mean? It would never have started if I didn't get involved with the community. So I'd say, find your people wherever it is. And if you don't have people yet, yeah, come on over to Reddit. Hang out with us, dude. We're talking ball over there. Come over to the Fantasy Alarm Discord. Just, hang out with us on the Twitter. Whatever you got to do to get involved. It's a lot more fun that way.
I love it. Well, when it comes to Reddit, it kind of leads to this whole stacked fantasy league. You're involved in this industry league for charity. $10,000 in charity is what it's about, which is pretty awesome. It's stacked for a reason. There are incredible analysts in this league. What was it that made you want to participate in this?
Well, that's the whole thing. Yeah, because I trust the moderator over one of the moderators at Fantasy Football subreddit, Jeremy. I mean, he is an absolute star. We've gotten together on charitable things together. We've raised back-to-back years now, 10 grand for Fantasy Cares, doing a pick'em contest, Scott Fishbowl style pick'em contest for the NFL draft. And we got together on that, because when I went, it was Bob Gilchrist and Mike Fiella. They invited me to go pick out the toys once for a Scott Fishbowl thing, and I've been doing it with them ever since. But that first year I did it, I just didn't realize how far the money went. You know what I mean? Like, and some of these toys are expensive. I know one that's bought Legos knows that they're expensive, but like, when you go to a Target and show up with $15,000 and you see the pile of toys and you realize that, like, each one of those toys might be going to some kid who might not otherwise get a single toy, like, that makes you turn around and say, wait a second, how do we do this more? How do we put 10 more toys in that pile? Right. And that's why I reached out to them and we worked together on that. So when he turned around and said, hey, we're making a league and there's going to be 10 grand in charity and 5 goes to a charity of your choice, I was like, yeah, dude. I was like, tell me what I got to do. I was like, I'll play in the league. I'll write articles. I'll do shows like you're doing to support it. Like, I was like, whatever you want me to do, man, we're going to just let me know what it's got to be, and he found a spot for me in the league, which is great because now I get to play to try and make money for a charity of my own choosing,
And what charity is that you're battling for?
Yeah, so mine is the Avery Huffman DIPG Foundation, and there's a guy His name's Brandon Huffman, and he is one of the great high school to college scouts. I have him on every year, so that's what I do every year. Is I have on guys like him onto my show who like know these tight ends going back to when they were like in high school. Like he was there when teams were trying to convert Darnell Washington into an offensive lineman. He was the first person that said the name Sam Laporta to me and was like, watch out for this kid. And he had Laporta ranked as his tight end 1 in that class. And I think that turned out to be pretty good ranking. And like, he's just been so generous with his time. And this guy, like, he is the guy that founded the Polynesian Bowl and all this stuff. So he's always helping people. And unfortunately, his daughter, Avery, came down with this very rare cancer, DIPG, and she passed away. And ever since then, he's had this foundation, Avery Strong. Anytime I have an opportunity to funnel money to it, I do. If somebody on Twitter is talking trash to me and they say, oh, blah, 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 I say, okay, let's bet on it. $25 to the charity, your choice. And the charity of my choice is always this one. And guess what? A lot of Twitter bozos have made contributions. So we're hoping this year with this one, if I can pull it out, $5,000 is going to go to them, 100%. So shout out Brandon Huffman. Shout out to the Avery DIPG Foundation. When I do Pros vs. Joes, whatever, this is what I pick. And if you want to support me and shoot them a donation and put my name on it or send me a screenshot, man, that means the world to me because this guy, he rocks, man. And it's one of those things that the sooner we can get rid of it, the better for everybody.
I love it. Well, sounds fantastic. Now with this league, obviously it's been a battle. Let's talk about the standings so far. Now, shout out to Greg Branos. He has done the impossible. He's gotten out of last place. It was looking like he was riding that the whole way. But somehow Justin Boone finds himself in last place. There is a last place punishment. The last place manager has to either do a video, like a scripted video from a message made by the champion for the league that gets posted online, or they got to run a 40, or they got to wear like a jersey of a rival, for a week on shows and whatnot. But I think that scripted video would be pretty good. But shout out, Greg Branos is battling. He is fighting, but everybody is. You got, Dave Richards been setting the tone from the beginning in first place, but Sigmund Bloom is right there. They're tied 9-2. Each of those guys are just rolling. Chris Harris has been on their heels the entire time. He's right there at 7-4. Kendall Valenzuela's had a great year, a couple losses now in a row. She's a 6-5. And then you have a bunch of teams at 5-6. I mean, it is a battle. And again, the playoffs are right here. So you got Andy Behrens at 5-6, Ben Gretsch at 5-6. Jake Seeley's riding a 3-game winning streak. He's now at 5-6. You're at 5-6. David Kitchen's at 5-6. And John Daigle's at 4-7. But these 5-6 teams, I mean, how many? There's 5 of them, right? Like it's incredible. That's what you want for fantasy. But you are in that position. Talk to me. How's this 5-6 record feel for you?
I gotta win. Because I don't have the points on my side. That's the thing. So I gotta find a way to win these matches. I've lost some tough ones, and I'll tell you what. Here's a really scary thing, Murray. If you really dig into this situation. Yes, Branos and Justin Boone are 3-8, but 3-8 and 5-6 aren't that far off, brother.
No.
We're talking 2 games here. And when you look at the points for, like Justin Boone's, his points against are like insane. He just had such a bad run out of like other teams. He has 200 more points against this year than me. Well, not me, but some teams like Ben Gretsch and these guys. And it's like, man, his points for are actually higher than a lot of the 5-6 teams. So, like for me, if I lose twice and he wins twice, I could be in last place. Now I'm making a video. I'm not running a 40 because I'm a grown man, and I'm not wearing a Jets jersey all week. I don't even know what player I would get or wear, but like I'm just not doing that. So whatever video they come up with is what I would do. But yeah, I'm scrapping, man. I need to win. I need to keep winning to stay in because of where I'm at in the points. So here we go, man. It's crunch time.
Yeah, I mean, you were just 5-4, just yesterday. It seems like, and then now a couple losses in a row, and all of a sudden 5-6 in that log jam. It's pretty wild. You got the waiver wire. It's a couple higher bids than normal. You got Osavas going for 15. JJ McCarthy getting caught. Talk to me a little bit about your thoughts on JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, and again, like the waivers are crazy in this league. I'll tell you, they run early, so we all write waiver wire articles, so we have the information in there. I had been holding out all year, not spending my fab. I was trying to get an advantage that way. Instead, I made a trade. I've done some after the kind of cheap $0 ads. So last week, I had to spend fab because I needed to put somebody into my lineup. $26 for Michael Wilson. Kendall Valenzuela bid 18, but $26 to get exactly 26 points, not a bad deal, right? But I mean, I needed it with all the injuries and stuff on my team. With JJ McCarthy, like the concept was always there for him to have upside, right? Because you sat back and said, hey, you know what? Sam Darnold stepped in with this team. He got MVP votes, right, on this team, and they moved on from him. And they had Justin Jefferson, they had Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones, they had Kevin O'Connell, who's this wonder kid. It's like the concept was there, but he just hasn't delivered so far. And at this stage in the year, like if he had been starting all year and slowly getting better, then you can hold on to a guy like that. But at this stage, I mean, it's hard to trust your team with that guy. And I think this week against the Chicago Bears, which was supposed to be a really good matchup, that was the last straw for a lot of people. So I totally get people dropping him, especially because you got 4 teams on bye. You got all these injuries. I mean, we need players to start.
Yeah, and you drafted JJ as your second quarterback. That's why
I had the thought process was there, but my 2 quarterbacks were Kyler Murray and JJ McCarthy. I very quickly needed to go out and find something that's been working. And Sam Darnold had been doing that, but last couple of weeks the game scripts have not been good, right? The Cardinals game, you got 2 fumbles by Jacoby Brissett that go back for touchdowns, and all of a sudden the Seahawks don't need to throw, right? And then this past game, Darnold himself, just a couple bad throws. I know the team came out and said they're going to stick by him, but that's all it takes some of these weeks, to come out and just not deliver in a spot like that. So I got to roll Darnold again. I don't have a lot of other options, but that's the way it goes, man. I took 2 upside plays at QB and missed on them both.
Well, hey, in Sam we trust. Go Hawks! I love it.
Let's go, dude.
Theo Johnson went for $12, a little tight end right there. What are your thoughts on that? Well, that was dropping Mason Taylor. What do you think of that?
So I think it's a great move. I think Theo Johnson, especially with that Jackson Dart back, is solid. And this is why this was the biggest problem for me in the draft is that I was dialed in, getting a lot of players I wanted, and then at one point, I think I had a wedding that day. I auto drafted TJ Hawkinson. And I immediately in the chat was like, TJ Hawkinson is available for anybody that wants him. Because my strategy is always to wait on tight end and to find them. And I took Dalton Kincaid later, and he's been fine. But now I've got these tight ends, too many on my roster to really go out and add more. So it's like that's been my secret advantage is to wait completely on tight end and then just find them on the waiver wire. And that one mistake pick for a player I didn't want way earlier than I would have wanted him, it just has really messed up my roster composition. And it's really something that folks should focus on is like, if you're out there every year finding sleeper wide receivers or you're like the 0 RB guy and you're finding those RBs, or you're the quarterback whisperer, lean into that when you're doing your rankings. Say, hey, you know what? I'm willing. I want to pay up at running backs because I suck at running backs. Do it. Right. Same with me at tight end. If I pay up for a tight end, I'm not using something I'm contractually obligated to do, which is write this tight end stuff every week. So for me, that was the biggest thing that sent my season kind of on a tailspin.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Michael Wilson, could help you down the stretch. Obviously, that was a great pickup this last week. Any thought? I mean, obviously, didn't expect that. No one expected that. But with Harrison out, you still could obviously miss a couple more weeks, maybe. What do you think about Michael Wilson moving forward?
Well, the reason it was such a no-brainer move for me is that I have Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
Right. So the correlation between those two is that if he's out, then you can start Michael Wilson. And then when Michael Wilson comes back, well, I'll have Marvin Harrison Jr. and I can put him in that IR spot. So for me, it made a lot of sense. Here's the crazy thing about this league, Kevin, is that I had way too many wide receivers at one point. I did. I was feeling really good back when I had Brian Thomas Jr., when there was hope for him. I had Marvin Harrison Jr. I had Michael Pittman. I have Cortland Sutton. I had Jalen Waddle. I had all these guys. I had 2 good wide receivers on my bench a lot of weeks. So I went out and I made a trade for DeAndre Swift. I said, you know what? I was like, go ahead, send me over DeAndre Swift, kind of take your pick of these wide receivers, and they picked Waddle. And that was fine. At the time for me, it was whatever. But then since then, Sutton's been struggling. BTJ's been bad. Andy's been hurt. Marvin Harrison Jr. is hurt. Last week, Michael Pittman was on bye. And then Rashad Bateman, just a random bench guy I had, he gets ruled out too. So now I'm literally picking guys off the – I started 2 guys directly off the wire last week in Michael Wilson and Jalen Coker. Like that's – it can switch like that on you. And now I got enough running backs that I got, running backs on the bench because, it's crazy how that goes. I would have been – I actually, I reached back out to the all-in kid, Jake Seeley, and I was like, yo, can we just reverse that trade? Like you need you need a running back. I could use a wide receiver. He wasn't down for it, but I'm like, let's just trade back because I need wide receivers. So couldn't get away with it.
That's how it goes in a league like this for sure. Now you drafted from the 10th spot. You already mentioned that you kind of like to wait on tight ends and find those hidden gems. Totally, that's on brand for sure. Again, you also waited, quite late for Kyler Murray. You took the upside in JJ as a second quarterback. Is that your normal kind of build? Do you really like to go, heavy wide receiver early on? You drafted Genty in the first and Breece Hall in the third, but obviously a lot of blue in your sleeper lineup.
Yeah, I do like to start off with running backs and wide receivers, and I think that you can get a lot of leverage just by hitting on that breakout tight end or that breakout quarterback, right? And for the last 13 straight years, a tight end that's come from outside the top 18 to finish top 5 in fantasy, right? Or tight end 18 or later. I mean, it's been Ingram twice, Waller, Andrews, Dalton Schultz. Like you can go through the list all the way back to like Heath Miller, right? Like Orange Julius, all these guys. I mean, like tight end is one of the positions that I think is the easiest place to find replacement value. So that's a lot of time. And same with quarterback for me in single quarterback leagues. So a lot of times I will go out and start my draft with just 9 straight running backs and wide receivers. And for me, I don't have any preference between the two. I will just take best player available. So I don't say to myself, oh, I need a bunch of wide receivers early. I need a bunch of running backs. I just take best player available. And if it ends up being a quarterback or a tight end that I get extremely good value on, then I'll take it too. But for the most part, I'm usually waiting on them.
I love it. Now, I love when you mentioned some of those old tight end names. Brings back a lot of memories. Orange Julius, Heath Miller. That's awesome. Now looking forward, who do you need to step up? Like who on your roster is going to carry you to the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I need these wide receivers to get healthy. I need somebody to come back and play, play at a high level, whether it's Brian Thomas Jr. or Marvin Harrison. One of those two players, I need them to step up. And Marvin Harrison with Jacoby Brissett was getting like double-digit targets here. He was looking good. That's why this thing totally caught everybody by surprise. The day after waivers run, he gets sick. And it's like, that's life, So I do need him. I do need one of those guys to step up. I need Michael Pittman to keep doing his thing. Also, boy, it would be real nice for me if Dalton Kincaid would find a way to come back and play at some point because right now I'm going to have to throw TJ Hawkinson in my lineup, and he's just not been getting it done, So I do need those guys to step up. With the running backs I have, it's really just kind of, they've been disappointing, Ashton Genty especially. But, I mean, I have no choice but to start those guys, So it's basically I'm just rooting for these wide receivers to get healthy and come back.
Well, here we go, TJ Hawkinson. That's what you get for the auto pick, right?
Dude, it's I almost dropped him last week because I was like, I'm never going to start this guy. But now Kincaid's out, Ingram is on bye, and he hasn't been great. So here we are, man.
So you took Genty in the first. What are your thoughts on his rookie season so far?
It's just a classic case of a really good player being on a team that just doesn't have it figured out and just can't put him in position to succeed. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. I watched I watched Todd Gurley go out for a Rams team, right? And on 275 carries, he has 800 yards, and he's looking terrible, and people are saying he's a bust or whatever. And then they go out and they get Andrew Whitworth, and they go out and get a new Sean McVay takes over, and they make all these changes, and he has literally the same number of carries. I think it was one less actually, 274, and he goes out and has 1,300 yards. right? Like the team matters for a position like running back. Some positions, guys can get away with it, but with running back, you got it. Running is the luxury of the winning team, right?
Well, shout out Todd Gurley. Yeah, it's one of the best, little stretches of football that's been played at that position. So he was definitely a stud in fantasy. When you look around this league, is there a team to beat, in your mind?
Yeah, for me, and not to besmirch any of the other teams, but I always look for the most balanced team because anything can happen at any moment. So and I have teams of my own where it's like, I just saw it this past weekend. You take Jonathan Taylor away from some of my teams, and they're just not good teams. Like some teams, Christian McCaffrey, Puka Nacua, guys like that are just carrying me. But I look at Dave Richards' team, and it's not only filled with stars, but I mean, it's just so balanced, right? Like he doesn't even have any of those. He doesn't have Christian McCaffrey. He doesn't have Jonathan Taylor. He's got Achane, but he's also got Rico Dowdle. He's got James Cook. And then his wide receivers, Amon-Ra and Metcalf and Adams, like he pieced it together with just the right kind of guys, So his team, Patrick Mahomes, who's rock solid. So he's a little weak at tight end, but again, that's something that you can kind of figure out. So his team is definitely scaring me the most. He's a real problem.
Yeah, and he's led the entire way from the beginning of the season. They had they had Matthew Berry come on to go over the league and predict the winner, and that's who he picked. So David has been leading the charge the whole way, but he is nervous. I had him on a couple weeks ago, and he is feeling the heat because obviously there's a lot of guys in this league that are coming for him. Kenneth Valenzuela is coming for him, so it's going to be fun to see how it finishes out. Is there one person in this league that you just do not want to lose to? Is there one person you just have to beat just for pride and a little trash talk?
Yeah, there is. And what stinks about it is that I already lost to him and I don't play him again. Not only did I lose to him, but I lost like 107. I think he beat me 170 to 94, which is just crazy. And that's Paris. If I can make it into the playoffs, that's maybe where I get my revenge on.
I love it. Revenge is always great in fantasy. It hurts when you don't get it though. Week 12, you got John Daigle on the queue. He's 4-7, been struggling a little bit. Maybe getting Bucky Irving back. What's going to take to take down John Daigle and get back to 500?
Yeah, Daigle's one of those teams where it's like you feel bad because he's got a Marion Hampton and Bucky Irving and now Jalen Warren, who might, he's a little banged up too. Like his team on paper is good. He's got CeeDee Lamb. He's got all these guys. He's got Jalen Hurts, but he's had all those problems. And unfortunately, I'm in a position where I'm just rooting for those problems to continue. Like no Bucky Irving. I don't want to see Bucky Irving. I don't want to see Jalen Warren. There's $5,000 on the line. He did a good job getting Woody Marks. So like if at least one of those guys is good to go, he's going to be all right. But I want to see him have to start Rachaad White this week. That's what I want to see in his lineup. So we'll see. It. I got to win this one. So
yeah, it's a must win. Yeah, we don't need a 3-game losing streak. You got to get back to 500. Put yourself in position for that final stretch because whatever happens in the playoffs, I mean, again, it's fantasy. So
anything
bring it on. I love it. Obviously, best of luck to you. Looking forward to see how this shapes out. Thrilled to have you back on here. Again, you're one of my favorites, my man. Appreciate you coming on and wishing you the best of luck moving forward. Can you share with the listeners where they can find you?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you so much for having me on, dude. This whole thing is great, dude. And you guys doing the articles and doing the shows to support it, man, that rules, dude. Like it's such a great thing. And shout out to the guys at Stacked for putting the whole thing together. Really excited to check out their product, especially because they actually took some feedback from us, because Stacked is the one that put the whole thing on. So I do want to give them a shout out. Is that like early on, I talked to Jeremy and I talked to the guys over there and they were like, what would you want to see from this type of thing? And I was like, one thing that people don't like is when the internet kind of combs everything and then they just take it and they say, this is ours and we created this, right? Whereas this product, my understanding is it's not going to be quite like that, where it's going to comb the internet, but a lot of the things that it says there are going to highlight the people that said them. So it's like, if Kevin Murray has a hot take that checks out, it's like, hey, you know what? Kevin Murray thinks that Alvin Kamara has got a really good stretch of games that, matchups, and he could be a guy to buy low or use whatever. It'll actually say that and it'll pull it for you, but it's not going to take credit for it, which I love that. And I'm really excited to check out the product. So big shout out to them there and for you and everybody for helping this together. If people want to find me, it's on Twitter at Coop Fiasco, on Reddit at Coop. There it is. And all my stuff, the YouTube, the articles are at Fantasy Alarm, and you can listen to me on SiriusXM channel 87. The Fantasy Alarm show is weekdays 6 to 8, and we're also on Sunday mornings 10 to 11. So you can find me. I'm out there, man.
I love it. Well, thanks again for coming on. Wish you the best luck moving forward. Can't wait to see you at the Fantasy Football Expo.
Oh, the best, man. The best time of year. Too far away, dude. So gonna be a blast again. I'll can't wait to cheer some beers with you out there, brother.
Sounds good, buddy.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast. Until next time, be sure to follow and subscribe to all of FFU's social media accounts for daily content.